Yeah, it's Swole Patrol, the Swole Patrol podcast. We're getting buff, so freaking buff. My balls are shrinking because of anabolic use, but my muscles are huge and I like it. Look at my six-pack inside my belly, not the six-pack that you buy at the liquor store. Dr. Drew has a giant dong and he has trouble lifting it because of his hip flexors.
She gonna make you do it again?
No!
Really?
Drew, the show is just getting better every
I
show.
know, it is.
Every intro is better and better. We can find all the shows, by the way, not only the Swole Patrol, but everything Dr. Drew is involved with at drdrew.com. Click on the banners. Tell your friends. Find me on Twitter at Mike Catherwood. I'm also at Mike Catherwood on Instagram. Dr. Drew, of course, the same thing. He is at Dr. Drew. Our faithful producer, Susan Pinsky, at First Lady of Love. She is the person in charge of Swole Patrol, and the podcast can be found on Twitter at Swole Patrol Pod. Join us on the email list. Maybe we can get one of your questions on the air if we start taking questions. drdrew.com, just send your questions to drdrew.com/contact. And today's guest, Dr. Drew, is a lady who she's the executive director of the Clean Label Project. And you ask yourself, well, what is the Clean Label Project? It's a nonprofit focused on the health and transparency in consumer product labeling. And we are having her on the Swole Patrol to talk in specific about protein powders. There's a lot going on in the world of protein powders, and I'm talking about our guest, Jackie Bowen. Hello, Jackie.
Hey, how's it going?
Living large. How about you?
Doing great, thanks.
How'd you get into this project? Not just the protein powder, but general labeling.
Oh, right. So, well, the whole thing for me was that marketing departments do a really effective job at selling comfort and security on packaging. So for me as a food safety engineer, I wanted to basically see what's actually in these products.
And you and I were always talked about in the supplement healthcare, or what should we call the supplement industry?
The
Nutrition.
Wild West?
Yeah, but I mean, how was Bigger, Faster, Stronger that showed it's just you can put anything you want in there.
Right. The proprietary blend pretty much covers you from saying any goddamn thing you want. Apparently, at least it seems that way, Jackie. Is there any truth to that?
Oh, no, there's definitely truth to it. And that's really the whole thing behind Clean Label Project, bringing truth and transparency to consumers. I mean, you see words like holistic, like you said, proprietary blend, and they sound healthy. But when you actually test it using data and science and analytical chemistry, then, the results are really shocking.
Right. And one of the questions I wanted to ask, and this may be getting a bit off topic, and I might be getting into the weeds too much, but I'm not a man of science. Dr. Drew is. I'm someone who's interested in a lot of scientific things, and certainly when it comes to human nutrition, I'm very interested. There's so much being made about genetically modified foods, but I haven't seen really anything that shows that they're bad for me. Is there anything to that? I mean, I haven't seen one study on humans that shows that anything genetically modified has anything negative.
And by the way, everyone forgot about the fact that prior to genetically modified seeds and whatnot, there was a major famine being predicted that we narrowly avoided. But go ahead, Jackie.
No, so I guess in general, when you look at things like GMOs, obviously there's a lot of consumers that really that message resonates with avoiding genetically modified organisms. Obviously, there's different stances you can take from environmental repercussions of monocropping, in other words, of literally isolating the genetic variability that exists in agriculture and possible risks associated with it. And of course, it's one where GMOs haven't been around that long that people are concerned about possible health repercussions.
Wait. So why is it worrisome if you breed a certain breed of cattle or a certain breed of dog, which is genetically modified animals, or start modifying like rice or wheat or apples and grafting and all the things they do other than modifying the genome itself? You modify everything about how the environment affects the genome rather than just going directly to the genome. One worries people, the other doesn't. It makes no rational sense.
Well, for a Clean Label Project, and I hear things related to kind of GMOs and whether to avoid them or whether good. Within Clean Label Project, what we're actually concerned about most are industrial and environmental contaminants and toxins. So it's more so around things like heavy metal contamination, like lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, as well as things like persistent pesticides, antibiotic residues, plasticizers like BPA, BPS, and that type of stuff.
And what really has been your finding when it comes to these heavy level I had a stroke, heavy metal contaminants?
Well, it's really interesting. The thing that I found that was most compelling is that there was actually, just last week, a journal article in The Lancet that was published that had linked lead exposure to heart disease. And what we found was higher levels of lead, or measurable levels of lead, in over 50% of the products. We also found measurable levels of BPA and BPS. And those are plasticizers. And just a little bit about those is there's some controversy around those particular ingredients used in packaging. BPA has been essentially eliminated from infant formula and baby food packaging because they are linked to being endocrine disruptors, which means that they act like hormones in the system. So the fact that we found measurable levels of BPA in things like protein powder, for obviously a population that really cares about their health, that was especially concerning.
And what was the overall kind of finding? I see that 28 of 134 protein powders tested. Well, and before we get to that, what made you decide on the 134 that you did test?
Yes, so when we chose the 134, the way that we pulled it was the Amazon bestsellers list, as well as different ones that were mentioned on different fitness blogs.
Oh, nice.
The hot sellers within kind of the organic natural channels and those types of things. So that's what's kind of made us pull these 134 products.
And unfortunately, 28 of those were found to be almost twice the regulatory limit of BPA.
Yes, and kind of going back to what you mentioned before, the fact that within protein powder that can be the Wild West. In the absence of federal law, what we had to rely on are state-level regulations. So actually in the state of California, there is the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, which sets maximum contaminant levels of possible exposure before a brand would have to basically warn consumers that they're being exposed to elevated levels of different known carcinogen or products that could cause reproductive harm. So those were the levels that we needed to hang our hat on in order to conduct this study and benchmarking.
What type of protein powders in general? Was there a theme to the ones that were the most contaminated? Were they dairy based, or were they from a certain part of the world? The bulk product, was it from China or something? Was there any kind of common theme to the ones that you would want to steer away from?
Right. So the ones that I would say that we generally found to be have the highest amount of contamination would be 1, plant-based products, and 2, chocolate-based products. And I'll elaborate on each of those. So when you're talking about things that are plant-based, in general, depending on where they're sourcing those ingredients from, if the soils are contaminated, then those ingredients that are used will basically have a higher chance of sucking up higher levels of heavy metals from those contaminated soils. When you look at things like chocolate, that particular agricultural commodity has a higher propensity to suck up what is called cadmium, which is a heavy metal from the soil. Now, along those same lines, what's important to point out is that you also see trends among the best products. The best products had a tendency to be whey-based and vanilla.
Ah, that's a good piece
The
of...
best in terms of lowest of these particular 5 contaminants?
That's correct. So overall it was 130 industrial environmental contaminants that we tested for. And in general, our belief at Clean Label Project is that it shouldn't have to be a novel concept for a product to be both nutritious and low in industrial environmental contaminants. But yes, you're correct. Overall, the 5 cleanest products were all vanilla and were all whey-based.
Would it be too far of an overstep to say that if someone could, they should just get their protein from non-protein powdered sources?
Sure. Well, I guess I would say this, is that so many of us reach for protein powder or morning breakfast just because of the convenience factor. Right. So when we tested these products, there were a lot of them that we found that were actually great. So it wouldn't steer people away from protein powder, but Of course, there are other ways to get protein through whole foods and other types of lean meats and nuts and legumes.
The twice the regulatory limit of BPA and BPS, did that put a stop to that product, or do they have to relabel themselves? What happens then?
It's interesting. Time will tell what exactly the industry does with this information. Clean Label Project just released the results of our finding last Tuesday, so it'll be interesting to see how the industry ultimately reacts and how consumers value the information and potentially change their purchasing habits.
You're a food safety engineer, so you're probably the perfect person to ask this, because I, as a health interested consumer, go to these health food stores and I look at like mom and pop products, and they have their nutritional info on the back, and it says,
except for the proprietary blend.
No, I'm not even talking about proprietary.
I'd love to know about that.
I'm talking about like a honey and almond butter mix, and it says that this has it's made in Anaheim, California, by a company that's all about fresh ingredients, blah, 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 and there's probably like 11 employees.
Yeah.
And they put a nutrition breakdown that says it has 120 calories per tablespoon and, 14 grams of fat. How on earth can they possibly measure that? Like, how does, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does a non-corporate company have the technology to accurately measure the nutritional value of a product?
There must be services. Yeah.
Yes, there are different types of testing services that can be done that literally test for protein content as well as vitamins, vitamin content and that type of thing to ensure literally the nutritional accuracy of that back panel that you're looking at.
And is there any regulation to putting that back panel on it? Meaning, am I as a consumer totally safe in reading that nutritional info, knowing that it's been regulated by someone, or can I just print up labels and get it under this? By being a small enough company, can I slide under the radar?
Sure. I think you actually bring up a really great subject matter for Clean Label Project to look at. What exactly is the accuracy of these nutrition facts panels? How much can you actually rely on, these numbers that are being posted? Does it legitimately have X amount of grams of protein per serving? I think that's another great fascinating study that we should look at.
I thought that is regulated. Yet they had to be within 5% or something.
I'm sure it is for Nabisco.
Yeah.
But what about but Johnny's Love Butter?
Johnny's Love Butter,
Erewhon.
But Johnny Love Butter has to hire. Maybe they hire a Nabisco's label, assessing team.
Yeah.
Right, and those label assessors are then regulated by the state.
I'm just saying that when my wife buys Good Karma cookie or something at Whole Foods,
how good is that Karma?
I'm like, really? Can I rest assured that it has only 14 grams of sugar? Because I don't fucking buy it.
If it's just some little coffee shop cookie.
That's my point.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't know what the limits are. Do you know, Jackie, what the limits are for labeling?
I would have to check to figure out exactly the variability that would be permitted. But you bring up a really interesting point. I think one of the common consumer misconceptions is that brands make their own stuff, where in actuality, over 80% of brands actually use a co-packer. In other words, the whole concept of the manufacturing of the product is done by someone else.
Yeah.
And a majority of these brands that you see out in the marketplace are literally marketing fronts. That they're the ones actually pushing out the brand, but not actually manufacturing the goods. So
what's the
from my
percentage on that?
perspective, from a food safety engineer, you look at it as who's the one ultimately responsible for that quality assurance and quality control.
Did you say 80%?
Oh, it's a very high percentage.
You
used
get that?
Co-manufacturers.
Wow. That something with a label on it is made by somebody else who also makes many other labels that you think are entirely something different.
Well, it's kind of like the clothing industry. Yeah, it comes from this brand, but that brand is also manufactured in the same place as Hurley and as Volcom and as Ruka. It all goes to that one place where a bunch of immigrants sew it together. It's all the same spot, but it's a bunch of different labels that put it together. Is there any way, just as the regular consumer who's interested in it, is there any label, is there any certification marking that I can look for on a protein powder that lets me rest assured that I'm not putting poison in my body?
Well, Clean Label Project, we do have a new certification program that we use across a variety of different categories. Before we did protein powder, we also did a study on infant formula and baby food, as well as pet food. We have not yet certified any brands within the protein powder space, but it's something that we're actively working on. Consumers are always looking for products that are both healthy, nutritious, and low in industrial environmental contaminants.
Right.
So for us, it's a matter of putting the logo on pack to ensure that literally this product was independently sampled and tested to make sure it meets our strict specifications.
I'm still disturbed by this proprietary blend business.
Right.
I don't understand how people get away with that, and you have literally no idea what's in that. Right, so there's a label with all kinds of things about calorie and maybe supplement or herbal content, whatever. But then all of a sudden, there's proprietary blend. Jackie, how do people get away with that part? What makes something a proprietary blend, and why don't they have to expose what's in there?
Sure. Well, when it comes to FDA has been really diligent when it comes to food safety assessments, things like measuring and testing for E. coli, salmonella, and listeria. You look at things like protein powders and other types of functional foods and dietary supplements, and it is an interesting part of, the government sector. Does it really fall as being a drug, or is it a food? And given, obviously, the different focus that we've had on food safety over the past several years, dietary supplements haven't really received the necessary regulatory kind of rigor and infrastructure that it needs to really crack down on some of these claims. It ultimately almost comes down to the Federal Trade Commission and truth in labeling, and of course consumers to demand more and ultimately transparency.
And what would that be? I mean, where does the FDA have to then intervene in the world of nutritional supplements? Is there another body that needs to be created?
Over the past several years, the dietary supplement industry has definitely received their fair share of, media scrutiny, so to speak. So I think in the court of public opinion, you're starting to see change and reform. But ultimately, in today's day and age of transparency and, consumer empowerment, consumers can pull through that economics. If you don't trust what's on the pack or you want to know more, call the brands, demand to know more details about what these crazy claims actually mean.
And what about other things that you at the Clean Label Project have gotten into? What is the most concerning products type that has come your way? Would it be maybe baby cereals or baby foods? I know that you've done a lot of testing with like infant and baby food products. Outside of protein powders, what's been the most concerning area?
Oh, for me, it's definitely been infant formula. So the World Health Organization says that the first 1,000 days of life are critically important to the long-term health and wellness of a human. The American Academy of Pediatrics has said that there is no safe level of lead. In fact, an increase in lead exposure for children is directly correlated to an increase in hyperactivity and a decrease in IQ. And while infant formula is one of the most highly regulated foods in America, when it comes to industrial and environmental contaminants and toxins, there currently aren't any federal rules on the books. So for me, when I was doing the infant formula and baby food study, seeing these measurable levels of lead in what amounts to the nation's most vulnerable populations was really concerning.
I'm looking at the cleanproject.org right now and just running through the protein powders here. Are they the star system that I see that they're rated by? Is that something that I can look at as to the cleanliness of that product? Is that somewhere where I can turn at cleanlabelproject.org to kind of get some safety checkups on the protein powder I'm going to buy?
Absolutely. Check us out at cleanlabelproject.org. We've got 134 products up there, but I hope to do more in time. So if you have any additional recommendations, send them through to our info@cleanlabelproject.org or follow us on Facebook. But what you see on there is our 5-star system, and you can actually drill down and see how each of the individual products performed in terms of heavy metals, plasticizers, ingredient quality, that type of thing. But what you see there is essentially 130 different data points all drilled into one snapshot of how that product performed compared to the rest of the top-selling products.
It really is wild, the variability between some of these products. I mean, even within the same brand, different flavors will change radically.
Where did this project come from? What motivated it?
Right. So for me, I'll be honest, it was one when I was looking at it, was just prior to the new year. You see so many people having New Year's resolutions about getting fit, eating right. So many of us kind of try to work out, try to do the right thing, and reach for protein powder as part of our whole morning routine. I mean, I know I do. So, that's where really this whole thing came to be, is just, trying to start off the new year on the right foot.
You said a lot of times plant-based proteins were something that you were finding a lot more contaminants in. Is there a certain type of plant that's better than others? I mean, is rice protein more contaminated than, say, hemp? Or, is there any type of is there any way to differentiate between the different types of plant-based proteins?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I would say this, is that overall, when you look at different types of plant-based contaminants, you see things like soy and rice have a general tendency to have higher levels of arsenic. So to me, and this is me saying it not only from looking at protein powder, but from the data points that I observed across, ingredients within pet food, baby food, infant formula, and other consumer packaged goods. So in general, rice and soy pull higher levels of arsenic from the soil.
Wow.
All right, let's take a little break. Jackie Bowen, is there, other than the Clean Label Project, anywhere else we can find you?
Just check us out at cleanlabelproject.org. Follow us on Facebook. And, appreciate it.
When we come back, I want to talk to you. I want to review some Swole Patrol stuff with you.
Okay.
All right, be right back. Well, we're so pleased to have Hydrolyte back. Hydrolyte is something that we and my family use just about every day, and it is simply the best oral rehydration product I have ever seen. And there are many reasons you should keep some around. I got the flu. I relied on Hydrolyte because I knew it would rehydrate me the way an IV fluid would. We all have heard about the flus and the diarrheas, and they all knock you out. Staying well hydrated is critical to getting over these conditions. Even if you manage to avoid getting infected, your schedule is half as busy as mine. Getting 8 glasses of water a day isn't likely to happen. And you don't need it if you've got the proper hydration product, Hydrolyte. That is the beauty. Whether you're sick or not, you can absolutely benefit from proper balance of sodium, glucose, and water. Hydrolyte does this better than a sports drink or water alone. That's right, better. And it comes in great flavors like orange, berry, lemonade. It's available in a pre-mixed powder. My personal preference is little effervescent tablets. You can simply drop in a bottle of water or a glass of water, and you're done. You got it, and you are rehydrated. And compared to sports drinks, Hydrolyte delivers up to 4 times the electrolytes with 75% less sugar. I know. Don't buy into the hype of the brands. Use Hydrolyte. It's a better product. I'm telling you. I had intended to invent it. They got there first, so I'm all behind them. Hydrolyte solutions are appropriate for all ages, and each bottle or package includes easy-to-follow dosing instructions. Order Hydrolyte today at hydrolyte.com/DRDREW. That is hydrolyte.com/Dr. Drew. And for a limited time, our listeners can save 30% on Hydrolyte. We actually buy in bulk in our family, so we're going to click through. Believe me, just click the banner on my site and use the code DRDREW18. That is DRDREW 18. All right, we're back, and all right, Mike, it's our me time.
Yeah,
our time together. I want to thank our friends from Bergamet. Polyphenols, I'm increasingly convinced, are a good thing. I've given it to some patients for fatty liver, and I had good results.
Maybe one of these days I'll start tweeting out from the Swole Patrol Pod, at Swole Patrol Pod. There's now, human studies that show that bergamot, citrus bergamot is really effective.
Citrus,
regulating.
Not really effective, but I mean, I wouldn't say really effective, but for certain properly selected cases, the evidence is quite good. It's for real.
Especially, and it does a handful of good things. Blood sugar regulation.
And
the
male and femme one got your favorite tribulus in there.
Oh, I love tribulus. I mean, it's great, at least for boner time.
Tell them what tribulus is.
Hungarian or Bulgarian tribulus. It's a root that a lot of people put in supplements to raise testosterone, and it works. And
it helps Susan during
one thing for sure. It definitely gets your libido going.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I like the Bergafem because it also keeps my hot flashes
has tribulus
down.
in there.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Susan probably turns into an animal.
Keeps me wet. Yeah, all that stuff.
Oh, jeez, Louise. And I'm the one you have to worry about.
I know exactly. Oh. So, all right, a bunch of odds and ends I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about my own stuff, lifting. Are you lifting heavier now, too?
I always lift heavy.
Yeah, but any change?
Not really.
No. So, after...
to me, just not to interrupt, but to me, it depends on where I'm at, what I supplement it with. But that is always something that stays.
See, for me, it's really what do I have time for? And I've had some extra time lately, so I started going heavy, adding, and I'm amazed how much I'm getting from the deadlifts.
Yeah.
I'm stunned.
Oh, yeah, your posture's better. You're probably feeling less of a sore lower back.
It's the way my muscles build
Right.
is with that kind of a lift.
I told you.
And so my back pain, it barely makes it through the lift. I have to really be careful, like when I stand back up after lifting.
Yeah.
And I have to walk for a while afterwards. But my overall strength in my core, particularly my back, not so much my abdominal core, just never been better.
Yeah.
And here's the other surprise for me: getting more out of 3 deadlifts for my legs than squats,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah.
You would think with a bigger movement like a squat, I would get something more.
No, because, but it's, I mean, I'm sure you Olympic squat as opposed to the low back squat, which means that the focus is much more quad dominant.
Yeah.
And the deadlift is really shoring up that posterior chain with your hamstrings, your glutes.
Not that much, but yes,
And
it is.
that's where you're
But
getting that feeling.
what I get the most feeling is it feels like because I can't do a huge movement with squatting.
You have bad knees?
Knees and back, right?
Yeah.
So I get more of the distal quad, while with the deadlift I get the posterior chain and the entire quad.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I know it does make sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like the IT band comes into play, you know?
Almost, yeah. I don't get much hamstring, but I do get glute.
Do you externally rotate your feet? Do you feel that pressure where you drive them into the ground as you're deadlifting and almost externally rotate?
I do not, because I've been focusing on pushing into my heels.
Yeah.
Should I externally rotate?
I avoid that from an upcoming guest. We will have Mark Smelly Bell, who's a guy who's deadlifted.
We had his brother.
We had his brother. We had Chris Bell.
Well, he was the one that got me to start lifting heavy.
Right.
And,
his brother makes Chris look like an infant. and he runs super training up in Sacramento, and he's really wants to get you up there to train.
Oh,
he really does.
Just one time?
Well, just any time.
What's that going to do? A single training?
I think to train with a professional power lifter and get some insight would be really helpful.
Geez.
That's like saying, what would it really do if I'm a quarterback and I get to go work with Joe Montana? What would it really do one time?
Okay, so there's that. So I added really legs back in for reals,
Yeah.
and the deadlifts and stuff. Appetite went crazy.
Yeah.
Increased strength overall.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I gained weight, and the strength overall significantly improved. But just got a bigger version of what I was. I don't get leaner.
But I do, and I can get stronger for a while and still lose weight. But that's
No way.
But
I
that's
cannot do that.
that's a really short window.
It's also young can do that. I'm not sure at my age I can do it.
So what are you complaining about?
I'm complaining.
That's just life. That's physiology.
I'm complaining. I want to take steroids. I think is what it
Well, then
boils
do it.
down to.
I don't understand. Maybe if there's some medical reason, that
stuff scares the hell out of me.
Well, if there's a certain window after your prostate surgery where you'd want to stay away from it, I don't know. But to me,
we don't know the answer.
To me, I'm thinking if your prostate's already been ripped out, go to war.
But your point is well taken. However, we don't know the vascular effects of testosterone and steroids in moderate doses, and even in low replacement doses, the prostate cancer cells can escape and be hiding out somewhere, waiting to activate.
Outside of the prostate
area.
Yeah,
you don't know for sure.
All right.
I mean, you hope that's why you take the prostate out. You decrease the risk that way, but who knows? That stuff. One of the mysteries of prostate cancer is what reactivates it. Why all of a sudden does it come back on? And we just don't know the answer to that.
Well, listen. If you don't want to gain weight,
I'll tell you what. I get a lot out of DHEA. I get a lot out of that.
Well, I would imagine.
But
that's a part of the hormonal chain.
I know. Well, not everyone's physiology can be pushed around like that. I think mine can. And so that's
there's a reason why
I'm thinking about that. That's what
there's a reason why that's banned by USADA. And it works.
Yeah.
Or WADA, one of the two bans it.
Well, I'm thinking about that.
I believe both, actually.
So that's all stuff I wanted to kind of report. Now that we've gotten into this, I'm paying attention to things.
I think. Well, I mean, yeah, but your big complaint is that I lift heavy and I gain weight. I go, yeah, but you're eating too much. What do you want to do? I mean, what's your gripe?
No. My gripe is it's a little more subtle. My gripe is I just become a bigger or smaller version of the same
But
exact
listen,
physique.
I understand that because you're eating too much. The end. I mean, listen, there's plenty of weightlifters.
No, but
and
then I will just be the same old smaller version.
No.
With no and
That's
not
not true.
stronger.
That's not true. Look, there's a reason. There's weight classes in weightlifting and in powerlifting.
Yeah.
And for people to stay in the same weight class, they manipulate their calories in such a way that they get stronger without gaining weight.
I don't think at my age that's possible.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I'm not. I'm certainly not qualified to say.
There is a period. There's a small window when I'm going down for about 2 weeks. Things are good,
Right.
And then when it gets down where it needs to be, it's over.
If you're going to fluctuate in over 500-600 calories, you're gonna gain fat. There's just that's no.
I know. That's the way it goes. I'm not saying, oh my God, this is a catastrophe or why'd this happen. I'm saying, I've gone up and down a million times and
Do fasted cardio.
do what?
Fasted cardio.
Meaning what?
Right when you wake up, without any food in your belly.
But to me, because I go on these long fasts, that could be the afternoon.
Then do it.
Yeah,
So
well,
do
I've done
fasted
that. I've
cardio.
done that. And that will leave me out. But now we're talking about. Now you're talking about 2.5 hours a day of working out.
That's not
2 hours
true.
a quarter. If I do the heavy lifting, it's an hour and a quarter.
Okay, how many days a week?
5, 6.
Okay, so don't do that.
Okay.
So lift heavy 2-3 days a week, and then do fasted cardio 6 days a week.
Well, according to that genetic testing I did, they said I should be doing 5 days a week, 5, 6. That any significant break between lifting, I'll lose, and that's been has been my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it. I mean, some people are high volume people.
Yeah.
What are you doing on those 5-6 days? I mean, you're not deadlifting every day, are you?
No, every other day, maybe every third day.
Okay.
But I'll do squats and the off day there sometimes.
And you do what?
And then I do all my old workout, same old workout, just at heavier weights.
Okay. Which is like what? Like dumbbell chest press?
Yep. Flat chest,
Overhead
flies, or overhead on a machine. The shoulder doesn't let too much happen that way.
That's right. Yeah, bitch.
I do a bunch of different kinds of pull in, high pull in, low pull in, pull up.
Have you thought about switching to just pull and chin? Just pull ups and chin ups?
Pull ups. If I go all out of a narrow grip, I start to get shoulder stuff up bad. Even though I try it a little bit, just try to.
Even if your palms are facing towards you?
I could do that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
I call that chin ups.
That is a chin up.
Yeah,
but I like that also because you get a fuller range of motion.
You do it way up high though, right up to your chest.
I test my chest to the bar.
I'm not sure I can do that.
You can do that.
No, without the shoulder like going nuts. I'm not sure. I'll try it.
Have you tried to rehab your shoulder?
A million different things. Yeah. I think I need I think I have a capsulitis. So I'm gonna either need some concentrated plasma protein, platelet.
Do PRP.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Someone tell people what that is?
Plasma replacement or plasma.
Okay. I just think about it as concentrated platelets. It's
plasma.
Shit.
Regener.
Oh my God.
I'll look it up right now.
Something plasma platelets. Protein with plasma something platelets.
Protein rich platelets.
Plasma. Platelet-rich plasma. There it is.
There you go.
Platelet-rich plasma. And platelets are very high in anti-inflammatories, much like with stem cells. And if you inject it into the inflammatory spot, it really does work.
Have you fucked around with anything legal and over the counter? Any inflammatories like curcumin or CBD?
I've not tried CBD. Curcumin but screws my stomach up.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Although I would like to find some way of taking that regularly. I think there's something in that.
Supposedly, and I've seen some studies to prove this. I can pull one up for you if I looked hard enough. You have to mix it with black pepper extract
To get it to activate?
not only to get it to activate, but to make it less kind of harsh for your system.
Black pepper is hard for me too.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So
What kind of bitch are you?
I'm an older bitch. The brush border gets all fucked up as you get older.
What's that?
That's the enzymes that along the small bowel brush border, the absorptive region of the small bowel.
There's a doctor, Asian guy, who did a lot of studies on. He was super buff too. He did a lot of studies on shoulder health, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. And he did a whole program about shoulder health that I looked into. And one of the takeaways I saw was that most shoulder problems can be solved with just hanging for a long period.
You told me a long time ago, and I do a lot of hanging. It is helpful. Also, Sean Baker said to use a heavy kettlebell, which I've not yet been able to square off on. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing that. Speaking of him, one of the things I wanted to take care of today was some odds and end business. People tweeted me that we didn't bring up his licensure issues.
Well, we looked into it. It
Yeah.
was just not one of those, right? It was one of those things that's like there wasn't anything to talk about.
He's licensed in California now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened in New Mexico. Something not good. And it seemed like it was a long time ago.
And there was relicensure. I see, he was celebrating what looked to be some good news about relicensure. But did you get into it with him about why he ever?
No, I didn't. I didn't know about it really when I was talking to him. And it's, you don't, something serious happened for sure. But if it was that serious, he would not be relicensed anywhere else.
Yeah. Right.
And
right. If he was like touching patients. Or
not only that, if it were a competency issue, it would have resurfaced again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, anyway, I don't know what that was for people that, and it has nothing to do with his theory about the carnivorous diet.
Right.
It's completely unrelated
Well,
phenomenon.
and that's what I would respond about it too. It's like I was aware of it. I, for one, don't know shit about being a doctor or licensing, so I wasn't going to be the one that was going to put his ass to the flame.
Yeah.
And you made it seem as if like if he had licensure in other states, it wasn't like he's a drug addict or he's
maybe
molesting
it was.
children.
Maybe it was drug addiction, but maybe it got taken care of.
Yeah.
Whatever. I have no problem with physicians in recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some of them are the greatest doctors I know.
Certainly, there's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them. The other thing was we were talking earlier in the show about the contaminants of some of these protein bars, and I was telling Mike off the air that these contaminants are really a significant issue for babies, and Jackie took that's where she started. That was her entry into this area. But I'm not sure how much it really means for adults for their products to be contaminated. Lead takes a lot of lead to mercury. We all know about mercury through fish, and again, it takes a lot to hurt you. Cadmium, not sure. Arsenic is hard to get hurt. You get poisoned by that, but you have to have a lot.
Pretty high level, right?
The BPA, ZPS.
I know it has to be a high level because there's so many forensic files where dudes try to kill their wives with arsenic and they fail for like 3 weeks.
Sometimes,
they keep giving them
3 years sometimes. They have to keep giving it. It does accumulate, so it's a significant if we're always there. And BPA and BPS is, of course, those are a chronic concern from plastic products. But again, we're not sure what to do with them, so it's not like, oh my God, these 5 things are in there. You've got to avoid these. No, it's like, we don't really know. It's not a good thing, not a good news, but it's not a panic.
What's your diet like?
What's my diet
I'm
like?
starting to get into why you're getting upset about your body composition. What's it like?
I do a lot of protein, a lot of eggs, and a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
And then I'll eat a meal a day.
But
And
you're still
eating.
eating carbs, aren't you?
Yeah.
See, what? Maybe just give it a shot. Try to.
Yeah, it would be good to get rid of them for sure. And
You're a baby about that, though.
No.
You always go, but then there were donuts there.
Oh, I'm a baby when I get going again.
Yeah.
But I'm a heroin addict. I'm not a
That's
baby.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I have to go through withdrawal. I have to pick a date, blah blah blah, and then it inevitably chips back in. That's the problem.
So you see patients on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
So start on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
By Saturday, you'll be fine. Sunday.
It takes about 4 days. Yeah.
By Saturday or Sunday,
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's going to be.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Is like embrace the discomfort.
Yeah.
Get ready for the suck, and don't be a bitch about it. If you really get those carbs below 20,
and to be fair, I don't do much carbs. I've been reserving the right. This is like what Natalie was talking about the mindset stuff.
Natalie Jill, yeah.
Natalie Jill. I've not been eating much carbohydrates, but I've been reserving the right to. So I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't go carbohydrate free because I know I'm going to screw up somewhere.
Yeah,
here anyway.
that's bullshit.
Yeah,
Stop
I know.
that.
I know. It's a
Stop
mindset
it.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
that's like me trying to say like I know I haven't been drinking beer for the last 3 days because I know I have the right to.
I know. Well, no, because you're planning a binge.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So don't do that.
Well, but here. Now let me. I got to find my motivation because the reason I do is because I don't get that much different. It's not. I'm not sure. It's
You've
worth it to
never
me.
given it a shot.
Oh yes, I have.
No, you haven't. Not for weeks and weeks
Oh,
on
yeah,
end.
yeah. Oh, for sure I
No
have.
way.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way. I know you. You have not gone. Like you have not gotten into the point where you're producing ketone bodies, like a
Oh, yeah. You're wrong. That's not-
6 week span of eating 20 or under carbs.
I have. I honestly have. But it's not pleasant for me.
It's not pleasant for anyone,
Yeah.
dickhead.
So under 20 is hard.
Yeah,
Like really hard.
yeah.
Like almost impossible.
No.
Under 20 is
Listen,
tough.
it's not. It's I know it's
I
not.
get under 40.
So stay under 40,
Yeah.
but train.
Yeah.
You know how I know it's not that hard?
Yeah.
Because I get under 30 commonly with fiber and train like a mother effer.
Yeah. No, I understand it's not possible. I've done it. It's not like I just...
And here's what the thing is. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But once it stops being uncomfortable, it's really comfortable.
That's true.
It gets euphoric.
It gets a lot easier.
It gets not only easier, it gets awesome. I start to get that mental fuzz goes away. I sleep better. My skin looks awesome. But I'm the honey glazed to begin with. And I'm not trying to jump on. I'm not trying to jump on the keto bandwagon. But here's the thing.
Listen, I'm on the keto bandwagon.
People now are geeking out about ketogenic this and that. And it kind of makes me laugh
In what
because I've
way?
been fucking around with cyclical ketogenic diets since '97.
They're geeking out what sense? That it's good
That
thing?
is, it's just the new fad. It's
Yeah,
the new
yeah.
the new it thing.
Yeah.
Keto is what paleo was 3 years ago,
Yeah.
which is what Body for Life was 10 years ago or whatever.
15 years ago, carbs are the best.
Oh yeah,
Carbs you need.
yeah.
Ugh, so
and
stupid.
and I'm not saying that a ketogenic diet is a panacea and it's for everybody.
Yeah.
But I am saying that I've been messing with cyclical ketogenic diets for 20 years, and you really do find profound performance enhancing effects and body weight. And it's what you're looking for when I hear a guy say, "I've been gaining weight, but I gain too much fat, and when I lose weight, I get skinny fat."
Yeah.
Then I go, "Look, you got to start manipulating. Carb cycling is the way what you're looking for." Then.
I get sleep fatigued with the keto diet.
But like I said, that's to be expected. Deal with it head on, and once you get over that hill, it's awesome. And you get a little buzz. You get that, you're like, oh yeah, no, I feel
right.
them ketones kicking in.
Okay.
And also,
time.
you can mitigate a lot of the discomfort with those ketone supplements.
I have some. Those powders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's good.
You can mitigate a lot of that achy, tired keto stuff.
Yeah,
what they call the keto flu.
Yeah, I get tired. I don't get headachy. Great. I get irritable and discontent.
I think the anabolic diet is what you should be on. This is my personal Swole Patrol prescription for you.
Okay.
Dr. Mario Di Pasquale, he is a former powerlifter, a real physician from Italy. Dr. Mario Di Pasquale, he's a real genius, so ahead of his time.
Okay.
He made a diet called the anabolic diet and then followed it up with the metabolic diet, which is more for the everyday folk. But if you're lifting 5-6 days a week, I think the anabolic diet is going to be just really the prescription for you. It's going to be just what the doctor ordered, no pun intended. It basically follows the rules. There's a little bit more of a nuts and bolts to it and some details, and I don't want to be the guy who gives away someone's entire method on a podcast.
12 days, no carbs.
Yep.
No carb days. And carb days.
Yeah, well then you usually go 24 to 48 hours of a carb up.
What?
To reset your thyroid hormones and then to give you an insulin jolt, which actually in turn really gives you it gives you a muscle building jolt every 5 to 12 days, while also getting you into the ketogenic phase of weight loss.
Carb days, 15% protein, 25% fat, 60% carbs. Huh.
That's it. So that's your carb up.
How do you?
So you go.
How often are you doing those?
Well, the first 12 days is
Nothing.
completely carb free.
Yeah, I see that.
And then once you get past that, then it's every 5 days. So it'd be 5 days of no carbs, then 2 days of high carb. 5-2, 5-2, 5-2. So essentially Monday through Friday, you're eating bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
And on Saturday and Sunday, you're eating fruit and pizza.
And oatmeal.
Yeah, but you can even get a little, because it's it's a pretty high, still a higher level of fat too on the weekends too. Get a little crazy. Have a piece of pizza. Have some red wine and wash it down with some
First
chocolate.
12 days can be very hard.
Yeah. So grow a pair, dickhead. I mean, look. How many times have you and I had that same conversation? The only reason I say that is I would recommend that for you as opposed to just a straight ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
Is because there's that muscle retention effect of that insulin burst.
Yep.
And that blood glucose swing you get from the carb up.
Count the days off until your carb loading days.
And like Natalie Jill was pointing out, Mario Di Pasquale, walk it like he talk it. He's a guy who was 190 pounds deadlifting 600-700 pounds in the 80s, and a doctor. He's not some shithead just throwing around. He's so ahead of his time when it came to cyclical ketogenic diets. Now, Dan Duquesne and Lyle McDonald went and took it to another geeky level. And if you're really geeky, if you're really willing to monitor your calorie intake, Lyle McDonald has the Ultimate Diet, and now the Ultimate Diet 2.0. That's next level. You'll get shredded, and you'll hold on to your muscle, and that's not a lie. You'll get
the Ultimate Diet. What's in that?
But it's not easy. The Ultimate Diet is not easy.
Yeah.
But big shout out to my man Lyle McDonald. He's a genius.
This is one where you have to have like a half teaspoon of peanut butter at 8 a.m. and it's all very highly.
No, this is a cyclical ketogenic diet as well. I would say it's not even necessarily a cyclical ketogenic diet. It is a carb cycling diet where you're going to go 4 to 5 days of really low carbohydrates and then load up on over a 1 day period. But this is much more dependent on really manipulating your calories and keeping that carb count super low.
This one isn't as easy to find.
The Ultimate Diet?
Yeah.
Just put in Lyle McDonald. Well, you can. I know I can tell you exactly where to get it. Bodyrecomposition.com.
Here it is. Didn't we talk to him at one point?
Yes, we did. And I can't listen. There's about 5 guys that I will consistently, and gals, that I will consistently give free praise to. Lyle is one of them. Lyle McDonald at bodyrecomposition.com. Alan Aragon, another super smart guy. Dan Duquesne, God rest your soul. Martin Burkhan out of Sweden. He's the guy who really, really proliferated the intermittent fasting.
What happened to Duquesne?
Probably steroids and I would, probably more so like the stimulants and shit. He was shredded, and he was like a buff bookworm. He was one of those guys. He was like nerdy but swole.
Oh, this Ultimate Diet requires a lot of calculations, though, right?
Right. Like I told you, this is if the anabolic diet is if you feel like, you know what, I got more time on my hands to really measure my food and shit like that.
Yeah, somebody'd have to feed me with this.
But it works.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, Lyle McDonald's Ultimate Diet, if you can follow it and you follow it properly, you will get fitness model shredded.
Huh.
Without drugs. That is my tip for the day. And also, big ups to Alan Aragon and Martin Burkhan. Who else?
Somebody would have to do this for me to make it happen. You know what I mean? It'd have to be like served at like your private chef kind of thing.
If you filleted me, I would do that for you. I would just
Filet?
No.
Oh.
FEL
or FELLATI.
Like fellatio.
Right.
Yes. If you fillet me,
right.
I will do that for you.
Nope. I guess that's not going to happen then. I'll stay with the.
And since we've devolved into me,
I'm going to stay with the other one, the anabolic diet.
Devolved into me getting blown by Drew.
That's where it stops.
I think this is where we should wrap it up.
Thanks.
But
hey, we end.
Again,
no carbs, 12 days.
Our guest,
pretty simple. I keep that simple.
Jackie Bowen, executive director of Clean Label Project, cleanlabelproject.org, and then Dr. Drew and I got into the weeds a little bit. Shoulder health, hanging can do a lot.
Yep.
Carb cycling. Very effective. Sometimes can be difficult, but if you are stuck in that never-ending cycle of when I lose weight, I lose too much muscle. When I gain weight, I get too fat. I really do think that's the secret recipe is carb.
Well, I'll try. I can survive easily on eggs and vegetables. Okay. Easily.
And that's it. So stay swole, stay healthy, and God loves you.
All right. Cheers. Hey, we are very excited to welcome our friends at Bergamet to Swole Patrol. That's a brand that made a significant impact on me. They make a variety of supplements. They use extract from the bergamot citrus fruit. They act as a natural statin and can improve a number of cardiovascular parameters, things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, all the metabolic syndrome stuff. Now the makers also bring you Bergamet Sport that provides all the same benefits with additional additives designed to help athletes and those with an active lifestyle. Bergamet Sport may help improve stamina as well as reduce recovery time as well as muscle inflammation. I've used the product myself. I've recommended it to patients, and Susan uses it. My wife Susan, you've been using the Bergafem for over a year, so what do you think about it?
After I reached 45, things started changing. Changes in libido, energy, and metabolism.
What?
And
No way.
Then there are hot flashes that you know about, right, Jim?
Yes.
My doctor
And you too.
prescribed bioidentical pellets every 4 months, and then I got hot flashes, felt fatigued at the end of my cycle. Bergafem fixed all of that for me. I took it for a year and ran out, and the hot flashes came back, and a little weight gain in my waist as well. So I'm taking 1 tablet a day to keep the libido strong, sleeping better, and I also noticed a loss of abdominal fat, honey.
Ooh, you're perfect. Is that the right response for husbands? So try Bergamet Sport for yourself. Visit bergamet.com for all the products that may be right for you. That's BERGAMET, bergamet.com, or click the Bergamet banner at drdrew.com. And for a limited time, our listeners save an additional 10% on their order by entering the code DRDREW. It's just Dr. Drew at checkout. All one word, DRDREW.
To learn more about Bergafem, please visit bergamet.com today. I love it.
Yeah, you do. You've been using it right along. It's worked.
Hey everybody, it is the Swole Patrol podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Catherwood, and Dr. Drew is at Dr. Drew, of course. Join the email list today. Send your questions, drdrew.com/contact, and put Swole at the top of the email so we can get your comments. And this will get you a weekly email reminder with a link to this show and all the great shows that Dr. Drew and I do, and all the shows that Dr. Drew does by himself, and of course with Adam Carolla, the great Ace Man. Please tell a friend and subscribe on iTunes. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars. And on Podbean or Google Play. All 3 help us out. We also are on YouTube/Dr. Drew, and hope you can give us all your comments, even if you're a troll and you want to destroy our feelings and our emotions. Support our sponsors and the show. Click on the banners on drdrew.com for the links to products for special discounts for the products Dr. Drew and I endorse 100%. Send questions and comments to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Swole Patrol Podcast, or on Twitter at Swole Patrol Pod. Also browse drdrew.com for the This Life podcast that I co-host on occasion, and all the other shows available like Adam and Dr. Drew and the This Life podcast. A lot of great stuff. Don't forget to check me out on K-Rock in the mornings on the Kevin and Bean Show. And be good. Be swole. #Swole Patrol.